While we sleep, the guardians of the night take to the streets, having said goodbye to those they love. Each other knowing they may never say these words again, they face the evil that we run from. They dedicate their lives to those that would hate them because they wear the badge. They wear the badge not for the glory or recognition, but because they were born to honor the thin blue line. This is the LEO First Podcast. We'll talk to the men and women in law enforcement, those that have retired, and anyone who's impacted by law enforcement. We'll peel back the curtain, and you'll get the real stories. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Every law enforcement officer has a story to tell. Get ready to hear from the men and women who put their lives on the line every day for their communities and their country. Welcome to the LEO First Podcast. Now, here's your host, Michael Laidler.
Hey everybody, it's Michael Laidler, your host of the LEO First Podcast. And to start off, it's a little chilly here in Texas right now. Now, you all know I'm not a big fan of the cold. I've done some work in the cold weather. Usually the work is just going from the airport to wherever I'm speaking at or going from one indoor to the other. But I will say it's a little chilly. And when I say it's a little chilly, you might laugh because you may say, Michael, that's not really chilly. But to me, I've lived in the South all my life. I lived in Florida. I lived in Louisiana. Now I live in Texas. And it's about the mid 40s. Now, if you get a chance to watch the video version of this, or you see some of the reels that I will post with me and my guests, you're going to see me with the hoodie on. And I can tell you this hoodie's just perfect because it gives me just enough warmth where I don't have to put my heater on. You may even say, Michael, why do you even care about putting a heater on? Once again, I'm from the South, so it is a little chilly, and I'm excited because I know podcasts like this and speaking, it helps warm me up, so that will help on top of having this hoodie on. But nevertheless, let me get back focused on this. Is a great day today. We're filming in December. By the time you hear, it's going to be maybe a few months after, and I know you're going to really enjoy my guest. He took my advice, and he reached out to me consistently and kept me on track because the month of November and the end of October was so busy for me that I had a hard time keeping up with myself. And I told him, hey, just keep up with me. Harass me, do whatever you got to do. Just keep reaching out to me, and it'll allow us to get on the podcast today. So I can tell you the guests that you're going to hear about, the one you're going to see, you're going to really enjoy because if his persistence is like this for a podcast, I know everything he's doing in his life right now, that's the same kind of work effort and consistency and discipline that he has in all the other categories. So our guest today is Bill Fraass. He is a 27-year retired law enforcement veteran with the Sausalito PD. He's an FBI NA grad. You know, I love my FBI NA grads. He also now has a business called Code 33 Consulting, and he wrote a book, which, once again, you know I love having people that have written books on my podcast, which was called Leadership in Law Enforcement, 10 Key Traits and What Law Enforcement Agencies Should Do to Develop Future Leaders. Now, I love that. I love talking about leadership. Love talking about mental health. And I know just based on hearing these facts about Bill, you're going to definitely realize that he's a person that also will promote what we have going on as far as humanizing the badge. You know, in law enforcement and high-stress environments, high-stress industries, it's so easy to look at somebody and say they have nothing going on. And as we all have developed in this law enforcement industry, and you've probably heard, this is probably episode 71 or 72, if not late 70s, we want to highlight that each of us are people. Each of us go through things. Each of us have similarities to people that are outside of this industry. And hopefully by the end of this show, end of any show you listen to, you understand that it's good to look at law enforcement officers at any level as just people. They go through things, and we all need each other's help to grow and make our society better. Now, I did ramble a lot right now, and I'm tired of rambling, and I know you're tired of hearing me. I know you logged in, and you're like, hey, Michael, you have this great image on your social media platforms. We want to hear Bill. So without further ado, Bill, tell us what you want to talk about today.
Well, good morning, and thank you very much for having me on the show. It's an honor to be speaking to you. A couple of things I'd like to talk about, but the first thing I'd like to talk about is the importance of us developing future leaders in all our professions. Law enforcement is a microcosm of society, and we are representative of every part of society. And we have to realize that what affects society is going to affect law enforcement. And the biggest thing that's affecting us on the job right now in law enforcement is a breakdown of our leadership. And what happens is if you look the last 15 to 20 years, we've seen this across all fields, but it's really focused on law enforcement is we've got a lot of toxic leadership that have come down. Why this has happened? Well, there's numerous different reasons. One of them is there's been a concept of a no-fail society that if you have make any mistakes, you're done. There is a concept of selfishness that has gone in there. It's all about me. We have to focus back on regular common sense, principle leadership based traits. And those concepts will make things much better. As I look right now, uh, I see law enforcement at a very critical juncture. And what I say that is because you look and you've seen all the scandals, the problems, the leadership failures of the last 15 to 20 years in which we repeat the same scandals, we repeat the same mistakes over and over again. We never learn from our history. There's been a breakdown from the top command to the lower ranks. And a philosophy that once was our job here is to make sure we get the job done and take care of our people, take care of our communities, do the right thing for the right reason at the right time. That has been broken down to the motto for many law enforcement leaders now is me, my ass, my career. And those are the things that people are focused on so much. We have to get back down to focusing on the most important things: the well being and the protection of our people, the training of our people, taking care of our people, taking care of our communities, and ensuring that law enforcement's doing the best we can do every time. And that is us enhancing our profession's abilities and development of leaders, of speaking out more, talking more, encouraging people to say what is right, what is wrong, holding ourselves accountable, holding our people accountable, holding our profession accountable, but also remembering that we draw people from the law enforcement world from society, and nobody is perfect. And we have to realize that mistakes are going to be made. My book, which right here, Leadership in Law Enforcement, is not all about me or about my thoughts or because I am so great or I'm so wonderful. A lot of the lessons that are in the book are from my mistakes, the errors I made, the mistakes my department made. But also, I'm bringing in real world information from people not only in law enforcement, but from the political side, the military side, and the business side, talking about 10 key traits, principle based traits that if we follow, we will not only enhance and develop our leadership abilities better, but also develop those in our future leaders, because we have to be focusing on the development of the next generation of middle managers, of supervisors, of leaders, of getting these people to be ready to lead the challenges that are facing us. And often we think that every challenge is new. It's not new. There may be different little twinges of newness, but it all focuses on the same core issues. And a lot of that is public trust. A lot of that is poor training. A lot of that is the repeating cycle of society forgetting where we came from. And law enforcement has a horrible reputation of not knowing our history. And anybody who has studied law enforcement knows that's true. So every generation, we repeat the same responses, the same errors, the same philosophies, not thinking of, you know what, the past generation did this and it worked. Why don't we just amend it? Or the past generation tried this and it failed. Why don't we take their game plan and fix it? That's what it's getting me to. I want people to open up their philosophies, open up their minds, and look and go, we need to get back to the basics of principle based leadership, doing the right thing for the right reason at the right time. And making sure that we're focusing on the selflessness part of leadership, not the it's all about me, about what's best for the profession, what's best for our people, what's best for our community.
Bill, man, you dropped so many different nuggets just now, and one thing that really stood out to me that got me really excited, and I it's not even a law enforcement issue, so to speak, but it's a society issue. This no fail concept, and sometimes when people look at things like that, they forget that it impacts everybody. It's just not like oh, you have kids that are law enforcement, or your adult child is in education industry, whatever that might be. So let's because now I'm more intrigued, because I obviously we all heard about the different things, and we kind of see how everybody wins all of a sudden versus nobody losing. So how do you think that impacts society's view of law enforcement? Like when it comes to like recruitment and retention and just culture, like how does that like no fail concept kind of work when it comes to that?
Well, what happens is when you have a no fail concept, you have good people getting removed from the profession or their career stymied because of a simple mistake early on in their career. They're not
Mm-hmm.
learning from it, they're not developing from it. When you get that, then you have people that are going to be, you know what, I can't make a mistake, so I'm not going to take any chances. I'm not going to go out and take any risks. I'm not going to do anything that could possibly make me fail. And then you have people that go into the, you know what, so I don't fail, I'm going to follow a script. I'm going to go just by the numbers. I'm going to be robotic. And then what happens is you have a generation of officers, or even outside of law enforcement, a generation of people in society in all different groups of government and corporate world that become robotic. They just go by the numbers. They're looking not to fail. They're looking not to make a mistake, instead of looking to do the best they can or accomplish a mission, to do something great. They're just basically looking, I win if I don't fail. Well, if you don't risk, if you don't take chances, you're never going to really see true accomplishment. You're never going to truly reach your goals or your tasks, because if you don't take risks, you don't you don't reach that prize. You don't gain that prize. You're just going through the motions. And when people see cops just going through the motions, they see that they perceive that we don't care. They perceive we don't have any human emotions. They perceive that, like I said, we're just robotic. And that harms the profession of law enforcement. But then if you're outside, if you're doing this in the corporate world, it makes you seem that you're just out for the numbers. It makes you seem that you're just a company person pushing the agenda, not pushing for the good. If you're doing it for political reasons, you're just one of the political pundits from one side or the other side trying to push your agenda. You're not doing what's best for everybody. And you have to, in order to develop yourself, you have to get out of your comfort zone. And that's what you look at it. And I love to use the military for this example. Mm-hmm. If you look at, let's just take the US Navy now. In the Navy, if you're the captain of a ship, or if you are even an executive officer, the second in command of the ship, and if something happens on that ship that goes wrong, even the smallest thing, your career is done. Why? Because there was an error. Well, then you go back in time. Chester Nimitz, the five-star admiral who led the Pacific Drive in World War II, who was probably one of the key people to winning that war, when he was a young commander, he ran his ship aground. That would get him fired from the Navy immediately. Career would be over. His career continued on. If you look, Eisenhower wrote a paper that many people in command ranks in the U.S. Army were upset at. Well, he continued to progress and later on became five-star general of the Army and later on president. Well, his career could have died as a captain because he took a risk and he wrote that paper. We have to encourage risk-taking. We have to realize that one mistake doesn't kill you. Any of us in law enforcement knows that we all have made mistakes. If we think that mistake is going to destroy our career or going to harm our career, we're going to be more prone to hiding that mistake or trying to not to learn from it and try to push it away instead of owning it and getting better. So we need to encourage risk taking. We need to encourage or get rid of this zero defect policy, because nobody has zero defects. We're all going to make mistakes. Let's identify the people that are the good people that can move forward, fix the mistake, teach them, encourage them to move forward. And I mean, it's some mistakes are truly, that's it. I mean, you do something unlawful, you do something immoral.
Right.
Those are things that are immediately, you're gone. But then there are other things that are, you know what, it's a mistake. It was a mistake of the mind, not of the heart. Let's fix the issue and let's move forward. And too often we've gone into a robotic society in which we're not fixing the issues. We're just pushing them out and pushing the next person in and saying, hey, you know what? Just do it. Don't take a risk. Do what's expected. Follow the status quo. And that destroys initiative, which then later on destroys your ability to lead.
I want to stay on this because I think this is important, because I know I speak a lot about mental wellness in multiple industries now. And one of the things that people do to themselves is when they have something traumatic or a critical call and they start to feel some type of way, they start to feel like depressed or anxiety builds up. Some people feel like they're losing their mind. And one of the reactions that I've been hearing lately is people say they're afraid to talk about it because they're scared to get put into a hole like rubber gun squad, admin duty, or light duty, because their leadership starts to look at them conceptually as failing because they couldn't handle the pressure of whatever call they went to or whatever's going on in their personal life. So speaking to a leader, speaking on a leadership platform, how can leaders kind of mitigate some of that fear that people have of looking like a failure and bringing issues to them?
Easiest way is you get amongst your people. You talk to your people. You explain to your people, you know what, this job is hard. There's going to be things that are going to impact us on so many different levels. When these things happen, don't be afraid to talk about them. Don't be afraid to bring your concerns or your issues or your feelings up to me, to your direct supervisor, to your friends. Let's talk about these issues because they're important. And if we don't listen to your concerns, if we don't address your concerns, they're going to become resentments at one time, and that's going to eat you apart.
Yes.
You look at, a lot of times I use the military because they're a big circle of groups.
Yeah.
And what I like to say is that you see the generations that fought in World War I and World War II. After they had seen their combat, when they came back home, they were put on large ships, and then they traveled for a month to 2 months back on the seas on their way home. At that time, it allowed them to talk to their comrades, to decompress, to share experiences, to discuss, to get things out. Well, now you could go from a combat zone, hop on an airplane, and be back in your house in 36 hours. You don't have that decompression time. Yeah. You don't have that ability time to talk. And what happens is then you feel that you can't express yourself. You feel that I can't talk to anybody. And in the long run, you need to get that stuff off your chest. You need to be able to explain what you're feeling and how you're dealing with stuff. And leadership has to encourage that. They have to encourage you to speak. They have to encourage you to talk to a friend, talk to a counselor, talk to a priest, talk to somebody that you trust. We need to do that for the health of our organizations, because if we don't, we're going to create something in which people are afraid. They're going to be viewed as, if I say anything, then I'm going to be segued to the rubber gun squad. I'm going to be segued to a group that people don't trust, or I'm going to be one of those people that people talk about behind my back. Law enforcement, just like anything, any high stress profession, there's only so much you could take before you tip over and you have to talk. You have to get things out. I like to say that cops are like a glass, and all our experience, or like a water glass, and all our experiences are water being poured into that glass. If you don't empty that glass out every so often, it's going to overflow on you. You
Absolutely.
never want to get to the point of overflowing. So a good leader is going to make sure they engage their people, they talk to their people, they give their people opportunities to talk to others. You give your people opportunities to discuss an event, but you're keeping that in check by saying, here is a good zone, here is a good area you could do it. You have issues, let's talk about it. This is why we've done what we have done. You give context. Nothing gets solved by nobody discussing. Nothing gets fixed by people not talking about it. We need to discuss what's going on for the betterment of the organization, but most importantly, for the betterment of the people. You need to make sure that there's truly open door policies. You have to make sure if you're a commander, if you're a supervisor, if you're a leader in any rank into the department, that when your people have something they need to talk to you about it, they walk into your office or they knock on your door or they come up to you at your squad car and they say, hey, Sarge, hey, Corporal, hey, Chief, Captain, whatever, can we talk for a second? You've put away everything that you're doing and you focus on them and you talk to them. That is how you encourage that, is by giving them opportunities and making them feel welcome to be able to talk.
That is so true. And whenever I speak at different conferences, no matter if it's chiefs, sheriffs, wardens, whatever executive level conferences I speak at, one thing I say is I rather the employee of whatever level that is in law enforcement, I rather them tell you what's going on, and you say, well, let's get you some help, versus that person not tell you and then they do something to themselves. I said, even if it puts them in a situation where you have to fire them or they have to leave the job, I'd rather you go get another job than suffer and make a bad decision at work, which we know in law enforcement, when you make a very bad decision, that's somebody's life. And it's not like you're working in an office where if you don't print out the right piece of paper, that okay, you just print out another paper. No, in law enforcement, our decisions are like direct deadly. So I'd rather you say, you know what, this ain't for me, or I can't sleep anymore, or whatever that might look, and admit to your leader, and that leader accept it and say, you know what, maybe this isn't for you, or maybe we need to get you help and move you somewhere else. But creating that culture, that environment, which allows people to be open, I think that's an important part of everything you're saying about it. Because without that communication, without being like blatant about like, hey, it's okay, tell me your problems. Don't wait until something bad happens and then you say, well, I've been suffering because my wife left me, or I found my wife cheating on me, or my son's been in the hospital, or that call I went to 3 nights ago, I can't get it out of my head. Don't wait until you do something bad. Get ahead of it. But you're right. Everything rises and falls in leadership, like John Maxwell says. And if you don't feel like you can be open with your leadership and that leader's not taking that opportunity to say, hey, come talk to me, then you're never going to do it. And then it's going to build up. And we all know, we see it. We see a lot of unfortunate things that the media typically highlights about us. And those are the things that we're trying to play catch up on. And then we're like, dang it, what are we going to do? But it's important to kind of, like you said, get that communication out early and often in order for people to understand. Now, you've since retired since December of last year of 2023. And now you have, and you've had it, probably you had it before this as well. You have Code 33 Consulting. What is that all about?
Code 33 Consulting is basically, when I retired, I had to retire because of an injury I suffered many years ago that just got worse and worse to the point where I couldn't do the job anymore. So I still wanted to be of help to the law enforcement community and to the profession. And Code 33, I conduct training, consulting, administrative investigations, evaluations of all the different types of internal administrative tasks that an organization may need, as well as training and consulting on the private sector in order to help bridge that gap between law enforcement and the community and educate both sides. It's important for me that the community understands why law enforcement does what we do. And that's part of the training aspect for community groups. It's important that we put out the best product on the law enforcement side so the communities can trust us. And in order to meet all these demanding needs, agencies only have so many people out there. They only have so many people these days due to staffing shortages. So I want to utilize the skills I developed during my 27 years to help police departments, to help the profession, to provide all these critical needs and critical tasks, as well as to help the communities understand why law enforcement does what it does. My job is to make things better for cops. I want to help cops. I want to help the police departments and the cop on the street. So it's important that I focus a lot on the training. I focus a lot on the speaking so we get the right information out there to help the people out there do the best they can. And we are here to help the individual law enforcement officers on the street. We're here to help the police departments. We're also here to help the communities understand why cops are doing what they're doing. So Code 33 is a mesh of different services we provide to help public safety in totality.
Oh, and trust me, Bill, I talk to training coordinators of different agency sizes weekly, and they're always looking for a little bit of help in all the areas you said. So I'm sure I can only imagine how that goes with business and how it gains momentum over time, because there's never enough consulting businesses. There are never enough people that can help delegate different tasks to. So thank you for still having that passion, because 27 years for most people, usually after they hit their 20th year mark, they're like, I don't want anything else to do with my industry. So the fact that you left and still stuck with it, and you're creating more avenues to alleviate some of that stress, especially on those tasks that are needed, I'm sure it's helpful. So with that, with Code 33, with your book, with all the experience you have, if someone's looking to find you, what are some ways they can do that?
They could go to my website, www.code33consulting.com. I'm also on LinkedIn, Code 33 Consulting. I'm on Facebook, Code 33 Consulting, and I'm on LinkedIn, just William Fraass. You can go there. You can learn what we have, what opportunities we provide, what skill sets we provide. Also, feel free to reach out to me. All my contact information is on those mediums. The thing also is take a look at what I offer, but those are only a tidbits of what I could provide. Feel free to reach out to contact me at any time to discuss what you have going on, what you may need. Especially regarding training, my organization is flexible enough to be able to meet the needs of your organization. What are your issues? And we'll tailor your training to your organization. It's not here, I have a block that's fitted in the segment. I have a ball that's putting into the hole. No, this is the issue that your organization has. Let's address our training to that issue. I don't like boilerplate trainings. Those get boring. Nobody gets anything out of them. You need to be able to address your training. I address the speaking I do to the specifics of the organization and what they need. And I will always focus on, we have to develop our leadership. And in everything we do, there's a leadership component. And I will continue to talk about the principle-based leadership traits we must have in everything we do, from our line work to our middle management work to our executive work to our interactions with our political leaders. And also, I am open for many different tasks that may not be the routine tasks. I'm doing consulting work for a company that focuses on artificial intelligence and utilizing that to create reports from body-worn camera footage. And that was a company reached out and got a hold of me and said, hey, what can you do to help us here? And it was like, okay, you know what? Let's go. This is what we can do. And I focus my traits on making sure that we're working hard on that, because that's the wave of the future. So we're very well-rounded organization. We have very different skill sets, and we're able to address our services to your needs.
Yeah. And trust me, if I was in that business, as far as being a police department, needed someone to delegate tasks to, I would probably call you, because I'm like, you know what? We have enough stuff going on. Where's the Bills at in the world that can help out with some of this stuff? Because I don't want to do it. Trust me, there's enough stuff just dealing with community and society and trainings that just all those things get put on the back burner, but they're important. But it's like, hey, who has to do it? So it's good to have companies like yours out there. So any final words?
A couple things is we got to continue to strive to be the best we can in our profession. We got to do the right thing for the right reason at the right time. In order to do that, we have to continue to educate ourselves. Please check out my book, Leadership in Law Enforcement. You can get it on my website or via Amazon. It's just not my concepts, it's the concepts of 31 notable law enforcement leaders with over 1,000 years of experience, giving you feedback on 10 key leadership traits such as selflessness, decision making, education, mentoring. Those are just a tidbit of what is in there. It's been endorsed by people such as General David Petraeus, Police Chief Stephen Sund, Congressional Medal of Honor recipient Sergeant First Class Sammy Davis. And that's a hodgepodge of people who have endorsed this book. It has got sound philosophies. It's just not me. It's lessons learned from numerous law enforcement leaders, as well as military leaders and government leaders and business leaders. It's written it's not written on a scholastic scale. It's not written for a textbook. It's written to get the information out to individuals as much as possible. So check that out. Law enforcement officers that are on the line right now, I highly encourage you to talk to your command staffs and encourage them to continually push leadership training, continually push different options. And please feel free to reach out to me for any training needs. Last of all, law enforcement officers, I want you to think what's going to be the future, what is going to help our organization. That is looking at future technology. Check out Able Police. They're the company that does turn body-worn camera footage into police reports. Who wants to spend 4 hours writing a report for a 15-minute incident when we could prepare a complete report in less than 15 minutes? Which officers review, they adapt, and they turn in. And it's just more comprehensive, it's more complete, it's more accurate, and it's still a true representation of the facts. It works for any body-worn camera system and countless different report management systems. We want to make jobs easier. So check out Able Police. Encourage your administration to check out Able Police, and contact me or contact the company if you have any further questions. For any training needs, contact me. Any questions about leadership, or you just need help, that's what I'm here for. Check out the book. That's where a lot of my philosophies are. But leadership is something you don't get better at if you don't practice it. You got to make sure that you try to be the best you can be every day. It doesn't matter if you're the leader of a department or the leader of your squad car. Any officer is a leader. It's the mindset you bring to the mentality, your job, that makes you that leader.
Bill, you hit on a lot of points, and you're right on all of them. Leadership is a trained skill. There are some people that are born with like an ability to learn better than others, but everybody else it's made. It's literally it's continuous training, because as you evolve as a person, you get different experiences. So what you may have read about when you were 19, you may not experience till you're 40, and you're like, wait, what happened? I think I read about this. So you have to continuously learn, because you never know what scenario you're going to be in. You never know what group you're going to be around, because not every group's different. You can have a team of 5 right now, that's one way, and then you get another team of 5 in 6 months, and they're completely different. So you're right. It's a continuous learning battle. So folks, make sure you reach out to Bill. Make sure you grab his book. Make sure you reach out to Able Police. Make sure you reach out to Code 33 Consulting for any of your leadership needs, anything that you believe that you can that you may need when it comes to making your work more efficient and allowing you to get on the streets and protect society, because we all know those things have to be done. But when it's a little bit easier, why not use it? So once again, Bill, thank you for your time. Thank you for being on the show today. I hope everybody had a chance to learn something. I hope everybody had an opportunity to understand that leadership is always an evolving area, no matter what industry you're in. And you have people like Bill that's out there that's trying to continuously push it, because we all want you to succeed. If we didn't, we wouldn't be having this show. If we didn't want you to understand that law enforcement officers are still humans, we wouldn't be having this show. So take these learning opportunities, and if you haven't had a chance, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the show. Make sure you share it. Make sure we're all good stewards of helping each other out, because at the end of the day, we all need each other, whether we know it or not. And just sharing information is one of the best ways to do that. So once again, thank you, Bill. Thank you, everybody, for listening. If you all need anything, reach out. If not, Have a great day and be safe.
You've been listening to the LEO First Podcast. Michael has been in law enforcement since 2005. He's worked for 3 law enforcement agencies in 3 different states. He's a professional speaker who travels the country teaching about leadership development and self-awareness. And he's the author of a book called Greatness Beyond the Badge: The 3 Key Principles for Self-Awareness. It's Michael's passion to bring law enforcement members' stories to the front, so you get the real and raw take. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with Michael on YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Michael Laidler, on Twitter at Michael A. Laidler, on Facebook at Michael Laidler Leadership. Send an email to michael@michaellaidler.com and hit the website at michaellaidler.com. See you next time on the LEO First Podcast.